Necesitas reír.
I'm Frank Lee, and this is an odd adventure. This memory came rushing back while watching Les Stroud's Survivorman Bigfoot at 2 a.m. while in the grips of a chocolate-fueled insomnia. It's one of my many adventures while traveling Wilu Bukwas, where there are Sasquatch. The Bukwa, or Bukwas, in the native Kitasu language of British Columbia, is an old adversary. Reports of the Bukwa have been coming from Klemtu, BC for as long as people have wandered the wilderness. And from the first moment I heard of the Sasquatch, I knew I had to investigate. The 739,000 acres of forested perfection that is the Kitlope Heritage Conservancy is not only a natural beauty, but it houses what could be the largest community of Bigfoot that exists. Because of its remote location, I decided to jump in my personal seaplane and head directly there. Out of respect, I went to the Stewardship Authority to check in with their leadership. Going into the wilderness without tribal permission is a big no-no. I spoke to Doug Nieslas, director of the stewardship. Despite my showing up unannounced, he was very respectful. I asked him permission to seek out the Bukwa. He asked my intentions. I politely informed him that I planned on tracking, tranquilizing, and transporting a Sasquatch in order to cash in on the big money booyah. Nieslas told me that under those circumstances it would be best if I just went. So, I took this as permission to start my hunt. I headed to the Kitasu band store for supplies and information. After loading up on 27 pounds of beef jerky and 22 cases of beer, I asked them, "What do you know about the Bukwa?" The two employees informed me that everyone in the area has had encounters with the Bukwa, but they weren't willing to share the tribal legends because I am not a tribesman. After a sudden exchange of unprovoked insults and being escorted back to my plane by local RCMP, I decided to start my investigation. I moved my plane to the south point of Cone Island. Unloaded my dinghy and crossed over to Keene Point, my gateway to greatness. From there, I headed to Swindle Island's interior. I hiked for 3 hours into the wilderness before I spotted this structure. There have been many theories as to what these structures are, from a family tree to a warning marker and even a way of marking territorial boundaries. But I believe that this is the equivalent of a Sasquatch Lego set, and in my opinion, this is a shit build. I continued to push through the thick brush, looking for more signs of my prey. Moving north, I came across this tree. After close inspection, I noted that the tree had been uprooted, inverted, and shoved back into the ground. No other person has offered a solid explanation for this phenomenon. Over the years, I have come to realize that these are familial grave markers of the Squatch. My infallible instincts were telling me that I was getting close. An overwhelming smell of BO and rot filled the air. The forest thickened, and I started to feel eyes on me, watching. I stopped at the base of a small tree and readied myself, holding my trusty Polaroid camera at the ready. I heard a twig snap, and in an instant, I took this legendary picture. I slung my camera and grabbed my rifle. Just then, another Squatch grabbed me from behind, immobilizing me in its powerful arms. I struggled and screamed, but to no avail. I knew I was now at the mercy of the Bukwa. The strong but gentle grip reminded me of being carried to bed by Mother Lee when I was a child. The Squatch carried me for hours through the quiet forest until we came to a small clearing and he tossed me on the ground. Just like Mama used to do. This is where it gets odd. When I rose to my feet, I was shocked at what my eyes beheld. A family of Sasquatch. For the first hour, we sat watching each other. The young one made off with my favorite t-shirt, which I have reproduced for you to buy in the link in the description. After several more hours of watching the Bukwa in their natural habitat, I decided it was time to jump into action. I rushed for my tranquilizer rifle, quickly took sight of my target, and fired. I struck one of the large males, which turned out to be a Frank Lee bad idea. Before I could carry out the rest of my plans, the female lobbed a large branch at me. I dodged this first attack with the grace of the wind. One of the other males threw a large rock and barely missed my beautiful face. As I was seconds away from claiming my prize, the young Squatch, still wearing my shirt, sucker punched me in the face and the lights went out. When I awoke, I was back on keen point. The thoughts of what had just happened made me feel like I was spinning. The same feeling I get after a 40-mile-an-hour car crash. I went back to my plane and decided to pack it in. My old adversary may have escaped my physical grasp, but thanks to my trusty Polaroid, I have proof that it wasn't just a drug-fueled hallucination. This experience has led to some of the greatest adventures ever undertaken by humankind, which I will share with you later. I'm Frank Lee, and this has been an odd adventure. Have a wonderful day!
The Old Ones. Ancient beings of pure energy that have existed since the fabrics of space were soaked in the waters of time.
Just a little preview of Rage Reborn. Coming soon to the Sir Talks-A-Lot channel.